obviously, first things first. Marquise was assessed a 1-game suspension by the Horizon League for his actions on Friday night against Jacksonville, and we missed him out there, obviously, but we support what the Horizon League did based on their code of conduct and the sportsmanship and conduct that we're supposed to display. So that's where he was. Credit to FDU, they make it hard to close games out. They just continue to keep coming, keep attacking, and you really have to beat them. And I think that's a sign of their coaching staff and their preparedness and their style that makes it really hard on you to close them out. But I credit our guys with the way that we stepped to the free throw line. Obviously 30 for 32 is pretty impressive. The way we were able to shoot the ball, we still have a lot of things to improve upon, but it was great to get a win.
Josh Gordon with a career high points today and 3-pointers made, especially coming off of a wrist injury like he did early on in the season, but just to see his output today, just what were your thoughts on his game?
Yeah, it was great, and we needed it so badly because, when you have a tough loss like we had Friday night, you expect some of your vets to step up, and so, for him to be able to step up with his performance makes the game easier for the others that he's playing with, and it's something that we've talked about a lot in the last 2 days. Is I don't think we have any selfishness in our team, but we need more selflessness, right? We need more guys that are trying to make the game easier for their teammates, guys that are trying to hold up their end of the bargain when they're on the floor, from an execution standpoint, from a communication standpoint. And we talked a lot about that yesterday, and Josh and Steph were pretty vocal about it, and obviously I thought Josh followed that up with a tremendous performance.
Do you think Josh's 3-point shooting is going to be something really relied upon for your team this year? It seemed as last year, a couple times your team would go as he would go with the 3-point ball.
Yeah, I think we have some more guys that can make some. TJ shot the ball well so far this year. He didn't take any today because there were some more opportunities for him at the rim. But Jackson's shot the ball a little bit better to start the season. Again, didn't take any today. Justice made a few. Alfredo made one. So obviously Josh is the guy that has a unique skill to be able to shoot it at the level that he does. I made 97 of them last year, and defenses try to take him away. And so if we can have a couple other guys step up and be able to benefit from the attention that he gets, hopefully that comes full circle and he's able to get some good opportunities because of that.
Andy, you talked about them coming at you, keep coming at you. Did you talk at all about, or you had a day off? They didn't have a day off. You talk about trying to take advantage of that.
I think we just talked about trying to execute our formula, right? We talked to our guys about the fact that they would not stop. Again, you watch all the games that they've played this year so far. The game yesterday against Jacksonville was almost carbon copy to this. They were down 10 with, a handful of minutes to go, and all of a sudden they took the lead because they just keep working. And so we definitely talked about that in our preparation. We talked about that in our scouting report. Coach Zalino had the scout, and so he was really trying to hammer that home, that you've got to play a full 40 minutes. You've got to be on top of your execution for a full 40 minutes, your ball security, your ball strong. There was a little bit of a stretch. We did a great job of that in the first half. We only had 3 turnovers in the first half. And then there was I think we let our guard down a touch midway through the second half, but then we were able to kind of rebuild and kind of take control of the game. And then again, they raised their aggression level, and we had some costly defensive possessions, I think, as much as any, where we were able to foul them on. We fouled them on numerous possessions in a row, where they were able to score with the clock being stopped. So we certainly thought we needed to work and try to figure out if we could wear them down. But they're a hard group to wear down.
Obviously, they are young guys, but how tough is it to play back?
Oh, it's really tough. If you look at my college stats when I played at Penn and we played Friday, Saturday nights, my Saturdays weren't very spectacular, I'll tell you that. Certainly hard to recover, but those guys on FDU, they're a tough group of dudes. Obviously, they had a great run last year, and they have some of that winning DNA, right? And they're not going to quit. And again, that's a tribute to their players and their coaches.
FDU applied the full court press on you guys in that second half, kind of led to some of your turnovers there. Can you just speak on how you guys were able to kind of break that out through the later stages in that game, and just with those, can you just speak on the turnovers there?
Well, they do it the whole game. They 40 minutes in every game they're pressing, and initially sometimes they're not as aggressive, and then they can kind of build their aggression based off of the way they feel the game's going. And obviously late in the game they got a little more aggressive with their trapping, more of a zone press than the man press that we saw for a majority of the game. But what's so effective about it is that over time it takes its toll. And so you constantly have to be on guard about, is somebody coming to double me? I'm constantly facing pressure. And then all of a sudden late in the game, boom, here come the traps. And we had some confusion a couple times in terms of what press break we were in based off of if they were going to trap the first pass or not. And so that kind of got a little bit choppy. And again, credit to them and their attack on the defensive side that led to us, making some bad decisions and turning the ball over.
Coach, they had 26 second chance points. Do you think that's where you really miss Marquise down on defending your glass?
Yeah, certainly. He's a big part of it. Their guards do such a great job of getting on the glass. I thought there was 3 or 4 times that we got put in rotation, and then their guards, Sean Moore, Harub Lidgen, like those guys just go with reckless abandon to the glass. And you're now trying to help on a dribble penetration, by Jameson or by whomever, and all of a sudden then you got to figure out how to box out, and that's something we've got to get better at. Certainly something that they were able to take advantage of us on, and we're not going to be very successful unless we can do a better job of handling our backboards.
FDU runs at an extremely fast pace. What's the key for you guys today to try to slow them down and what they do on the offensive side?
We didn't. We did not defend the way that we needed to, and partly was because of the pressure they apply and the pace they play at. And I thought, that maybe the first 10 minutes of the second half, I thought we did a really good job. We had about a 4-minute stretch in the first half. I think they had 10 at the first media timeout, and then they were on 13 for a while, where we were able to string some stops and build a lead. And then I thought we were able to do a good job for the first 10 minutes of the second half of really trying to stack some stops together. And then the last 6 minutes or so, I don't think we did a good enough job of really being able to continue to stand up to get the stops that we needed and the rebounds we needed. Really, there was a handful of times we got the first stop, but we couldn't get the second one.
Coach, do you think this win could propel you in the conference play? You guys got 2 tough conference games coming up.
Yeah.
After a 3-game skid, do you think this could give you some momentum going into an early conference schedule?
We're on a day-to-day basis right now. We got finish out today and then worry about tomorrow. I hope it can, but we got to just worry about trying to have a good practice tomorrow and start our preparation for Northern Kentucky.
Stephon Walker was limited to 20 minutes a day with foul trouble, and it's been an issue for him since his freshman year. Is there anything that he does specifically that's made him such a foul magnet, and has there any either attempts or ways to sort of help change his game to sort of avoid those?
Yeah, he fouls. He fouls. You go back and you watch, and there are fouls. He's constantly grabbing and holding, and he's constantly bumping, right? And sometimes at the wrong time. So he wants to bump off the ball, and then when his guy gets the ball, then that might be where you need to bump. But I think a lot of it is just he's got to stay engaged with positioning. He's got to be more alert with his feet, right? Because a lot of times fouls come when you relax, and then you get behind, and then you have to grab or hold because you know that you might be giving up a bucket, or somebody might start yelling at you, right? So then you react and you just try and grab somebody. And it just is, some of them are so silly. Some of them are so silly. It's like, as a big man and a guy who's constantly, in some physical altercations during the course of a game, he's just got to be much smarter about how he utilizes his fouls, because you just can't grab and hold people. Like, you got to be able to play the game with your feet. You got to be able to move your feet on a consistent basis. You got to stay engaged and ahead of the possession so you don't pick up fouls. And when he gets behind, he just reacts and reaches, and then it's a problem.
Alfredo and Alvaro got some minutes today in the rotation, and they've gotten minutes over the course of this season. Just what have you seen in their game, and just getting through these growing pains early on in the season?
Yeah, they got to consistently stay engaged. Again, the hardest part sometimes about being a freshman and adapting is the consistency that you need in order to understand what's going on. And there's certain days where, they are very engaged. particularly Alfredo. I mean, Alfredo's pretty consistent in his work. He's still adjusting a little bit to the pace. I thought he did a good job in that second half where he was able to kind of beat the pressure, get a couple of assists. And Varro, we know his talent. He's got to be more engaged on a day-to-day basis. His practice habits have to improve, and that's not unique to him as a freshman. And all of our practice habits, I think, need to continue to improve so that we can improve as a team.
All good.
All right, thanks.